On Monday, March the 1st, and we'll call this regular city council meeting to order. We are meeting, this is a public meeting, we are meeting both in person and by conference call. So with that, if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Mike.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Don.
Yes, here.
Here. Harlan.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Harlan.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Just want to say that I'm happy that we are once again meeting in person. This is nice to be able to say the Pledge of Allegiance with everybody, and it's just nice to have everybody here. And as long as the positivity rate continues to decrease and the vaccinations continue to increase, I think we're in good shape, and hopefully this will continue to be in person. Tonight I do also want to thank Kane Hoover. He's our videographer tonight. And then lastly, I just want to congratulate the Bishop Garrigan girls basketball team. They're off to sub-state, I believe, on Wednesday, and we certainly wish them well. So does the council have anything? Okay, hearing none, we'll move then to an update from the city administrator.
I've really got nothing in addition that's not going to get covered in one of the 30 items tonight. So.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll move to agenda item number 7, which is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any items that are not on tonight's agenda. Are we hearing anyone, Jacob, that...
There's two people on the phone, but neither one, they're not muted, so
Okay.
they're not acknowledging wanting to speak.
Okay, all right. We'll then move to agenda item number 8, which is the consent agenda, and this includes approving the minutes from the February 15th council meeting, the minutes from the February 22nd council meeting, approve the bills to be paid this cycle, approve a Class B liquor or a beer permit for Algona Classic Stop, approve a Class C liquor license for Peps, Class C liquor license for Billy Joe's, a Class C liquor license for Emeralds, approve the minutes from the February 25th Parks and Rec Commission meeting, as well as the minutes of the February 9th Ways and Means Committee meeting, and approve Jacob's administrator report.
Just one item of note, I forgot to upload the Ways and Means Committee meeting minutes. Those aren't in there, so except for that item, want to take that out, and next meeting I'll be sure to upload that.
Okay, we'll strike that.
Okay, I move we approve the updated consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Harley, a second by Mike. Is there any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Harlan.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. That brings us to agenda item number 9, the public hearings. It's 5:07, and we will open the public hearing. And Jacob, I'll just let you speak to that.
So this is a public hearing on the proposed authorization of a loan agreement not to exceed $7,365,000 in general obligation notes, Series 2021A. Generally, what this borrowing includes is GO funds to pay for the airport hangar extension, for the fire department's pumper truck, and then for proposed street improvements. The public hearing notice was published, and the city has not received any written objections or comments on file.
Okay. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, it's 5:08, and we will close the public hearing for agenda item number 9. We'll move to agenda item number 10, and we'll open that public hearing. It is 5:08. And Jacob, would you like to brief us on that one?
Yes, so this is also part of proposed bonding for Series 2021A. This is not to exceed 1.9 million in general obligation urban renewal note. This will be for fund the construction and reconstruction of Snap-on Drive and Finn Drive. The public hearing notice was published, and we have not received any written objection filed with the city or any other comments.
Okay. Not hearing any comment on the phone, then we'll go ahead and, it's 5:09, and we'll close that public hearing for item number 10. We'll move to item number 11 at 5:09, and that public hearing, and Jacob?
So this is on the proposed authorization of a general obligation loan note not to exceed $300,000. It's part of Series 2021A. This specific item for the $300,000 would be for the reconstruction of a parking lot. The public notice was published, and we have not received any written comments or objections here at the city.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, it's 5:10, and we'll go ahead and close the public hearing then on item number 11. Which brings us to item number 12 at 5:10, and it's also a public hearing, Jacob?
So this is a hearing on the proposed authorization of a loan agreement to issue debt not to exceed $775,000 in taxable GO urban renewal loan note series 2021B. The proposed use of these funds is to refinance a loan the city had in 2019 with West Iowa Bank when we purchased the industrial park land. So this loan will be refinancing that loan, so it's not new debt. The public notice was published, and we have not received any written comments or objections on the proposed borrowing.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, it's 5:11, and we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. We'll move into new business, item 13, which is a resolution pertaining to the public hearing, agenda item number 9.
All right. These next few resolutions are more or less authorizing additional actions on the items we just had the public hearings on. So number 13 is a resolution here instituting proceedings to take additional action and declaration of intent to move forward with the borrowing proposed. And this 7365 is for the fire truck, airport hangar, and other street improvements as identified.
Motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Rodney, a second by Don. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Harlan.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 14 is a resolution pertaining to public hearing item number 10.
So for Series 2021A, this is a resolution approves instituting the proceedings and declaration of official intent to move forward with the proposed borrowing on not to exceed 1.9 million in GO note urban renewal for the construction and reconstruction of Snap-on Drive and Finn Drive.
Move to approve the resolution. Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mike and a second by Rodney. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Arnold.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 15 is a resolution pertaining to public hearing, item number 11.
So this resolution institutes the proceedings and makes official declaration of the city's intent to move forward with the proposed borrowing of not to exceed for $300,000 for Series 2021A for the identified purpose.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Harley, a second by Jody. Is there any discussion?
I would just say that if people think we're not discussing it, hopefully they've listened over the last month and a half at our work sessions. We've had hours of discussing this, so I just want people to make it clear that it's not that we haven't discussed this or going through it, we've discussed it at length.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you. Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Arnold.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 16 is a resolution pertaining to the public hearing, item number 12.
So this resolution approves proceedings as well as declaration of intent for the city to move forward with the proposed borrowing of not to exceed $775,000 for a Series 2021B Geo Urban Renewal Note for the refinancing of the industrial park property.
Move to approve. Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Don and a second by Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Arnold.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 17 is a resolution authorizing issuance of capital loan notes. Jacob.
So this item authorizes the issuance of the loan as well as levying of tax to pay said loan. So this is for Series 2021A, which has those three subparts that we just went through. So the total proposed borrowing is $9,080,000. That will be used for the airport, fire truck, street improvements, for the construction and reconstruction of Snap-on Drive and Finn Drive, and then for the parking lot project identified. And this approves the issuance and commits the city to levying the taxes necessary to pay the loan notes.
Move to approve. Second?
We have a motion by Mike, a second by Rodney. Is there any other discussion?
Just one thing I think maybe Jake could clarify. You're talking about the two streets that this is going to be constructing the Snap-on Drive on the east side of Snap-on and reconstructing the street on the west side of Snap-on. These aren't going to be happening at the same time, are they?
No, Snap-on Drive is proposed to happen in calendar year 2021, and then we're looking at Finn Drive in 2023. So the borrowing that we're proposing this evening is for projects over 3 years, more or less, but just borrowing at one time.
I could just see people being worried about that when they hear both of those.
And same thing with the other street reconstructions and mill and overlay projects and street improvements. Those will be taking place over 3 years.
So, yeah, thank you. Good question. Thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Arnold.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 18 is directing the advertisement for the sale of the loan notes. Jacob.
So this is directing the sale of the Series 2021A for that $9,080,000. Basically, for the bond markets, identifying the process that we'll use to sell them, when that sale date will be, which will be March 15th. And then we expect to receive the loan proceeds on April 20th. So this is basically the instructions for all the people in the bond markets for how we will go about selling and what the expectations are.
Move to approve. Second?
A motion by Mike and a second from Rodney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jody, yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 19, Jacob, would you like to speak to that one?
So this is resolution directing the advertisement and sale and electronic bidding for Series 2021B in the amount of $730,000. Basically the same version of what we just approved for 2021A. I will just make one note. For Series 2021B, the reason we didn't have to have a resolution approving the issuance is because that debt's already been issued. So in this case, we just have to approve the advertisement of the bonds. Move to approve.
I'll
Second.
second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have a motion by Don, a second by Jody. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jody, yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Well, before we go on, with that, I mean, I just wanted to say thanks again, Jacob, for all your work on all of this, putting 3 years worth of construction and everything all together and doing it in a good way when the interest rates are low and all your hard work on this. So, agenda item number 20 is a resolution pertaining to the 2-stall hangar project at the airport.
Finally, something a little different. So this is a resolution to move forward in order the construction so we can provide notice to bidders as well as setting the public hearing we'll need to have before we award a contract. This is for the 2-stall hangar extension out at the airport, which is in the proposed budget for FY 2022. 2-stall addition, $190,000 approximately will be received from the DOT in the form of a grant, and then the outstanding share of the project, the $259,600, that will be paid for by the city using the part of the loan proceeds from Series 2021A. And this basically orders the project, the notice to bidders will be sent out, and then sets the public hearing for April 19th at 5 o'clock. And then we expect to award contracts later that meeting or at the first meeting in May. And bids on that project will be due April 7th at 11 a.m.
Motion to approve the resolution. Second?
A motion from Rodney, a second by Mike. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jody, yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 21 is a resolution pertaining to transfer of funds.
John, just one.
And John Bilstein.
Thank you. I'm John Bilstein, General Manager of Algona Municipal Utilities. Mayor, City Council, appreciate your time. The resolution you have in front of you is allowing for an extension of an existing loan that ended December 31st, 2020. We're asking for an extension through 2021 of this loan. We have determined that we have a surplus, so the funds are available for the extension of this interfund loan between our electric utility and our communications utility. So we think it's good fiscal management to do this. We're also changing the interest rate based on current market conditions to 0.88% for this loan, which will be paid back on a monthly basis moving forward. Primarily used for capital improvements in our communications utility with our dynamic TV conversions.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I don't see any issues. Move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion from Mike, a second by Jody. Is there any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jody, yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Agenda item number 22, this is a resolution regarding engineering services.
So last September, we had signed a general engineering agreement with Bolton Mink, who has an office here in town, to more or less, function as the city's engineer. So when we have, kind of technical questions that want another set of eyes looked at, on our stormwater management ordinance, that's required to, have signed, sealed plans by an engineer, so we can, well, rather than us reviewing an engineer's work, we can have an actual engineer review that work, and then help us, kind of do that initial planning for putting together our street projects. So what the resolution, what you have before you is basically an annual renewal of that agreement. It provides for the first 20 hours a month of general engineering services to be billed at a reduced rate of $85 an hour. It's similar to like a city attorney of basically have someone who's plugged into your system that can speak on your behalf, work on your behalf, but you only, use them when you need them. So, it's not like we have to pay them a minimum amount or something like that a month. But provides us that resource on those technical questions that we can go to enhance and projects in general and help us prepare for larger projects. So the way that this would work is basically every January or December we revisit and decide if we want to renew, and then just proceed that way. And if the city ever decided to no longer need those services, there's language in there to provide the termination or just simply not renew it annually, but it would be reviewed as proposed, like I said, in December or January of each year.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion by Harley, a second from Jody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Jody? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 23 is a resolution approving professional services with Bolton and Mink.
I guess one of the items I should have mentioned in the last agreement is that includes a lot of that just general contract language. So when we do have a project that we're going to use Bolton and Mink on, it's more or less we're just adopting what will be called a task order to that master contract. So this resolution approves task order number 1. This is for the proposed 2021 street improvements project, which is the mill and overlay projects that we're looking at. So in our borrowing, that what we looked at is more or less about $2.3 to $2.5 million in total for mill and overlay. What we're proposing to do is, we've got 2 streets under reconstruction this year, plus a new one going on. So this first year, take a good chunk out of that and then scale up the following year. So we looked at kind of the streets we identified that needing work, and some of those obviously they might look in really bad shape, but they're on the reconstruction list, and it just doesn't make sense to invest in maintenance because they're so far gone. And we try to look at what could we do that would be a large enough project to attract low bids, also be something that we can handle well with our other projects going on, and then also kind of by area where those locations should be that can be efficient for the contractor, as well as our communication to the residents and detours and things like that. So the proposed project and what this engineering agreement for is for $98,000 to do the basic design and bidding services, the detailed drainage and pedestrian ramp design, and then the construction administration. The total estimated cost of the project is $806,000, and that includes the $98,000 engineering, and that will allow us to, for this summer, to address approximately 24 blocks. This year will be focused on the south part of town. So you can see there's going to be a lot of work there, kind of in the Good Sam area, and then a few other longer stretches. And then the following year, we will focus on kind of the downtown northern part, and then the east part of town as well. But For this summer, we're proposing these 24 blocks. So this agreement, our resolution approves the engineering agreement so they can start that design and putting the bid packet together so we can hopefully get this bid, if not later this month, first part of April, and get some good prices and then allow the contractor plenty of time to perform that work over the summer to make it an attractive project.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion from Jody, second by Don. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 24, this is a resolution pertaining to the EMS renovation project.
So that project work got started on it last week, and they basically have everything gutted at this point, and the subcontractors were starting in there this week, so HVAC and sprinklers are the big ones, as well as electrical. With this project, obviously, the intent of it is to provide accommodate living space as well as additional bedrooms and a bathroom to allow EMS to function better. But with that, we're operating during the construction, and the project is a small area in scope, so when there's something that's identified that needs to be addressed, it either needs to be approved then or work has to stop potentially. And really, typically we, any change orders, and like the one here at the library that comes up, they come to council and council approves them because they do have a fiscal impact. Larger projects like that, there's enough going on, they can be identified, other work can be done while those change orders are getting approved, whereas this project, because we want to keep it as tight a window as possible, this resolution would authorize the city administrator to be able to administratively approve those change orders so we don't run into an issue where, we get one tomorrow and now we got to wait 2 weeks, and so the contractor's not doing anything because they're not approved to move forward. So it's more of kind of just the importance of the timeline of this project is why we're proposing this change.
I'll trust your judgment on this, so I'll move to approve.
I'll
Second.
second.
Here we have a motion from Harley, a second from Jody. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes,
Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 25, this is to set a date and time for a public hearing.
So this is the public hearing that needs to be held prior to adopting the proposed budget for FY 21-22. My council memo has a misprint, but the attachment is correct that we propose setting the public hearing for March 15th at 5 p.m. on the proposed budget for next fiscal year.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, a second by Don. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
yes, Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. We'll have that public hearing then 2 weeks from today on the 15th of March. Agenda item number 26 is to approve a change order with the library renovation project.
So for the space within the library, that's the reading room. There's additional drywall that needs to be added, basically on the top to take it to the ceiling that originally wasn't in the project specs. And then in working with the contractor and the architect, and well, if we're just adding more or less 4 feet and the condition of the existing drywall and where you might have seams and cracking, it was recommended to it'd probably be a lot quicker and a much better end result product to just take all the existing drywall down and put new up. So this change order would approve basically the removal of that drywall and then the installation where the existing is, and then up to the ceiling. And the change order is for $1,622.50.
Is this just for soundproofing, or is it fire rating?
Say that again.
Is this just for soundproofing, or is this for a fire rating? It's the only reason you'd build above deck, so.
Do we know what changed this?
I'm not sure if it's both or one or the other.
I'm assuming since it's the reading room, I'm assuming it's soundproofing, but I just didn't know if we had a
Okay.
set answer. So. But I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, but it is smarter to just tear it all down. Sheetrock's cheap, so I'd move to approve.
Second.
Here we have a motion from Mike, a second from Rodney. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 27 involves an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do we have a name? Okay. Yeah, I think we need one member there.
Looks like one yet.
Okay?
In terms of the gender balance law, the appointment has now been open for more than 90 days, so we do have more men on that board than women, but so if you know, a male candidate can be appointed at this point because, like I said, that 90-day window to find someone to make that good faith effort has now passed.
Okay. All right. We need to be keeping our ears open there for someone to fill that position. Okay, agenda item number 28 is a discussion item, the proposed staffing changes that we touched on during our work session.
So we want to just kind of pick up where we left off on Parks and Rec?
Sure.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts?
We discussed it, I guess, in the work session. I think the recreation manager is needed. I just think there's a third person between somewhere there that's needed, and what that title would be or how that would be. I don't want to slow up the recreation manager, though. We do need that, and I like what you've done there. So I just think there's a need for a third in somehow working through those departments.
So I think, you know, kind of the options we could pursue is move forward with a recreation coordinator or manager position, hire for that, you know, gets back to 2, and then in the interim, you know, be considering, do we want to, how, you know, and confirm that we want to add that third director position. Then we could advertise that job, and it could be an internal candidate, or, you know, we hire someone from the outside. Or, you know, we just kind of press pause in general, and before we advertise for a recreation position, we you know, come to a clear plan on ultimately, are we going to add a third, and how those duties will work. You know, I think, like I mentioned earlier, timing wise and with the seasons, we want to get someone in there as soon as possible. At the same time, I don't want a short-term, you know, concern to be at the cost of, you know, not thinking about this at a larger scale.
See, I definitely think we need to iron out kind of the details, and I know the Parks and Rec Board has a large say in this as well, so. Just getting those details worked out. I mean, there needs to be some some form of leadership position, how you would label those secondary positions is, I mean, is beyond me. If you even need to label them, one as a parks, one as a rec, if you could just label them parks and rec, I mean, employees, parks and rec, supers, whatever, I mean, it's gonna be a shared job duty. Yeah, one will have more work in this area than that area type of thing, but we want those employees to intermingle. We want these departments to function almost as one, in my opinion. I mean, Parks and Rec go hand in hand, and I mean, for the longest time, we had that wall built up, and granted, Dick and Peg did a wonderful job trying to break that down, but I mean, even from a budget standpoint, it was always kind of an argument where this go, I mean, where's this fall, either park side or rec side, or, so trying to get that all kind of unified into one.
That's some good direction there, Jacob.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, so I guess, you know, and maybe this is just semantics, but I also don't want us to advertise a position and then what's actually defined as the duties, we end up immediately switching it after we've, you know, advertised and recruited candidates. You know, so if we had a Parks and Rec director, you know, I'm kind of thinking that recreation position would be like a rec coordinator or a rec assistant. And I think a manager buys us middle ground that they can more or less wholly be responsible for it, but it also, if someone's hired above them as a department director, not demoting them, you know, it's just providing, you know, an additional person. So I think that might be the way to go. Is that the sense I'm hearing from the council?
Yeah, I think it has to be a manager position. If they're supervising and hiring, that seems right. And then later on, if we hire a director, then you have that ability for that person to get promoted if they want to. If they want to apply for the director position.
So should we move forward with a rec manager then, and to be determined on how, if we want to do a Parks and Rec director, and we can figure that out in the months or weeks to come?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you almost feel like you need somebody steering the ship. Like you said, they can report to you, but then again, you're busy too. So I mean, that's just adding more to your plate at that time too, and we've got to look out for your well-being as well. I mean, they're going to reach out to Barb, they're going to reach out to everybody, so I don't know if we need, to me it makes sense to have the director in place first, but I mean, to have that lead role and then build down under, whether Dan would be interested in the job, whether whatever, I mean, but that's me. Like I said, there's a reason there's multiple of us here. So.
Yeah.
No, I actually agree with you, Mike, because, I mean, I see the rec side being very busy this year, you know, after having a down year like we've had last year. And things are changing, you know, you look at the participation and the different basketball, baseball, softball, you know, the participation has suffered some. I think we need some good, strong management there to get that back up again. And I think I'd like to see that come from, you know, a department manager who then would let us know what he needs to get that done, who he needs, whatever. Yeah, I think that position has to be filled first, the top position.
Well, I disagree. I
Now,
think the manager.
I kind of like Jody's thought on this. I mean, we need the director, sometimes you may not feel like you're gonna be the grunt guy. I think we need somebody to get out there and get these going and start. As a manager, you feel that. And then the two managers come together and decide, or you guys decide how the director see that. Like you said, they could apply for it. Either side could.
Yeah, which isn't a bad idea then.
I think you need a manager,
Yeah.
you need boots on the ground person.
Yep.
That's
I
gonna
think you
do
do
all
first.
those, of the million little things that that person has to do for all the programs. And I think, you start with somebody, you make sure they got the technical skills for doing all that, and they can build the programs back up. And getting a director in the future should be one of our goals. Somebody that can help fill in the gaps and help with park and rec at the same time.
I think we need to define the roles before we can hire that first person too, though.
Barb?
You're probably going to get better qualified candidates if you advertise for a director. A manager is more someone who's training to be the director, and they're not going to have nearly as much experience to get these programs up and running. That's just my thoughts.
My other thing with looking for a manager right away is you're gonna create tension between two employees that you want, because I can almost guarantee once you open up that director position, they're both gonna apply. And then, I mean, I know how people are anymore. I mean, you don't wanna, and I know it's little pitty stuff, but just trying to think here.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, I mean, isn't that the job, the world it is? You hope you got good candidates and they're fighting for other positions?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we can hold hands on that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, businesses try to promote within, and if that happens, and one gets it over another. But, I don't know, so I can go either way, but as long as the director position realizes he's boots on the ground, he's going.
Yeah, and I think that, and like I said, I mean, to me, a title.
You better realize that.
You can call it the whatever. I mean, director, manager, it doesn't matter, as long as you put in the job description makes the job. So you can give him whatever title, the president, I don't care, but as long as it's in the job description that he's gonna be doing work, I mean, to me, that's all that matters, so.
Do we look at simultaneously trying to hire a recreation coordinator and a Parks and Rec director?
I don't see why it would be a bad idea. Like Barb said, that director or that higher up person's gonna bring in a better quality applicant. It's gonna pay more. It's gonna drive some competition there. And there's some people that just want that lower job that don't want a title. There's people out there that just want to do the work. So.
That's where I see where you almost have to have a director and a coordinator at the same time. You need somebody in the position to make the big decisions and manage everything, but you also need somebody to do the work. So if we go the director side way, I think we need a coordinator in there to just see the day-to-day stuff go through and get done, because there's a lot of stuff to do. We've been just confusing you even more, so.
No, this is great. I appreciate this discussion.
Can we afford to hire both positions at the same time?
That's a question.
Can we afford to hire both positions at the same time?
In our proposed budget, we've only got 2 people. I mean, 1 rec person in the budget. You know, I think if we'd be looking at a director level, probably mid-50s. That coordinator position, maybe mid-40s, low 40s.
You don't have it in the budget.
I mean,
I thought the same thing, and I wondered that, but we've shown 4 times in a row this doesn't work. Whether it's in the budget or not, we better figure out how to make it work. It's too important to the city, as I said before, not to have good, strong rec programs, to have good parks that look nice and things moving forward.
You're probably
4 or 5 times in a row, it doesn't work.
with benefits and all the other taxes, things like that. You're probably looking at $75,000 to add an employee, beyond what we currently have.
Well, we haven't passed the budget yet, so is that a deal breaker if, to get that much more in there?
We would have to do a budget amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's far from ideal timing, but that's kind of the theme of this.
Well, so what's the resignation?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so, you know, yeah, we can amend that always, it's just,
We need to have 11 months out of the year where you can't resign.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
put that, yeah.
so in terms of next steps, we've got obviously a Parks and Rec director job description already, you know, that we've hired for previously. So if we're gonna hire that third, it would be kind of taking this recreation manager position and maybe amending the language a bit more in terms of level of responsibility and changing that job title to recreation assistant or recreation coordinator.
What's Dan's current title? Is it superintendent, or what, how did we?
Parks Maintenance Superintendent is the
Superintendent, okay.
technical title.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got the director, and you've already got then that superintendent on the park side, we need it on the rec side, is what you're saying. If you have a rec director. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing is, you know, if we look at hiring the director first, you know, we could run in a situation where we get candidates and the best candidate, they maybe have some rec experience, but you know, they're heavy on parks.
Okay.
And so if our kind of short-term concern is recreation, you know, then are we kind of more or less set ourselves up that we have to hire a rec or a director that is really strong in rec? You know, as opposed to if we're hiring simultaneously, or already have that rec person in place, then if they're, you know, really one-sided, you know, I'm just thinking of Brody, for example, you know, he could do the rec stuff, but you know, he was, you know, parks was, you know, really what his core competency was. So, you know, I guess I'd want to be able to, yeah, I'd want to be able to hire a director knowing what the support staff would be, so we're not having to basically kind of be heavy on the director unnecessarily on one side because we're trying to launch rec programs this year when ultimately that might not be the best fit. That makes sense.
Can we hire them both, advertise both at the same time? We might get a park and rec director that's fairly new applying for that job that would be a perfect fit for the program manager, the program coordinator, whatever you want to call it. So I think if we advertise for both of them at the same time, you know, you're gonna have this class and this class, but we might find one that applies for this class that'd be perfect for over here, and they're willing to take that job.
I agree with that. I've seen that done before, you
So
know.
we did
Then
it.
you can
No,
kind of
administrator.
see what candidates you get,
Yeah.
right?
I was gonna say,
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we just.
Really hard work.
it's actually a good thing, it's a positive thing. You're helping place that person, hopefully, in the right job role, so.
Yeah, I could see people applying for both.
So since we already have the Parks and Rec director position authorized by council, I think what we would need on the next item, once we get to the action item, and we've got other roles to discuss as well, it would be a motion to approve creation of a recreation coordinator position. I think, you know, I can take this job description and amend it a bit more, and we can just go with that, and then get advertising yet this week for both of them.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, so we will.
That means work on Deb's end too. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because we've already sent that. We might just have to, yeah, once we're in next fiscal year, do that amendment. Yeah. So we will circle back to that action item. Do we want to kind of discuss the other positions while we're on the discussion topic?
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody just got lost.
Somebody just wanted that.
Too long.
So move to item number 29.
No, there's still other in
Yeah.
28.
Well, I guess, yeah, we can move to 29. So this was one of the items that we changed in terms of
Discussion item.
that agenda amendment, and basically just broke them out individually so we could do motions on their own. So we could, I guess we could move to 29 and take care of the parks one while it's on our mind, and then go through and discuss the rest if that works. So I guess it would be a motion to hire for the Parks and Rec Director position, and then to create a recreation coordinator position to be hired for.
And higher, we
Yeah.
can say, yeah.
So moved.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion from Harley, a second by Jody. Is there any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes, Harley.
Yes. Motion carried, thank you.
Alrighty, still on item 29, we'll go through those other positions. And I apologize, I really should have had Ways and Means uploaded because we discussed these items with Ways and Means. For the Deputy City Administrator position, what we're proposing is to basically create that job title, but they would be performing the duties of the Public Works Director and the Community Development Director. For the purposes of code, those are already in there, so more or less this person would be designated as doing those two responsibilities. And then looking at between KCEDC and partnership with the chamber, potentially those other items that the community development director would otherwise do in terms of marketing and business recruitment, using those as the support. So more or less the proposed deputy city administrator would just be the job descriptions of public works and community development director adopted by reference. Part of that's just and we had this discussion with Barb, we could call it anything, but with her experience as a city administrator and keeping up with some of her certifications that she has, they want certain things in the job title. Having that administrator, we could call it something else, but it's kind of to reflect the roles we expect her to perform, but also to kind of satisfy the technical requirements in some of those professional groups. Barb, anything to add to that?
my only concern is you've got community development director job description, that have the marketing and everything in there too, which we were gonna have that other position doing, so.
Yeah, with the.
So I guess my thought on that, it'd be overseeing that,
Okay.
but we could call that out specifically, that it's not
I don't
doing it,
market
but doing
well,
it.
so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's the one we're working on with the chamber. And then,
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess the motion would be, if anyone would like to entertain it, is to more or less reclassify Barb as the deputy city administrator.
Any motion on each one, does this one is?
Yeah, we're gonna do each one individually.
I would move to approve reclassifying Public Works Director to the Deputy City Administrator.
Second.
A motion by Mike and second by Don. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes, Harley.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is the code enforcement officer. So as we discussed, with DeVere has now taken on all the permitting, whereas as previously that was under the Public Works Director and that Public Works Tech assisted. It makes sense to provide DeVere with the title just for kind of organizational clarity's sake of, that reflects his actual duties of being the person that makes those determinations, approves inspections, and then signs off on the permits. And so it's code enforcement officer because the nuisance abatement, things like that is still in there, but ultimately when you're doing that permitting, and approving those, it's a function of, it's code enforcement. It might sound a little odd, but that's what you're doing, of making sure they're complying with all the requirements of the city code. So this would just be changing DeVere's job title and then providing in that job title, identifying those additional duties that he's more or less already performing and has been, but actually declaring that as its own position.
I understand he actually does that quite well. I've heard of a few instances, so yeah, I would move to approve that change.
Second.
I have a motion from Harley, second from Rodney. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jody. Yes. Harley.
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move to item C with Public Works Technician.
So the existing position, like I said, DeVere had obviously assumed a lot more responsibilities with the permit and the inspection, and with that, kind of his ability to be that utility and help the rest of the public works departments, is limited. He still does the snow, but really as we start looking into the property maintenance code, and then if we move in with rental inspection later this year, we're going to need additional, well, one, we're going to be, we've lost DeVere and his ability to help those departments, but then he's probably going to need some additional help, as we add those programs. So we would propose keeping the public works technician position. It's an updated job description where it talks about assisting on the code enforcement and things like that, but also being that utility player with the other the other public works positions. And then we also did specifically call out in there as well, because it's no longer under public works, but maintenance of parks, grounds, and facilities. The idea being that, maybe it's a few parks that they're specifically in charge of, or in charge of a few tasks specifically. We're still kind of feeling out how this might work. But our idea is that we would, Kyle Campy has requested a transfer to this position from wastewater operator. So it would, we wouldn't be hiring a new employee, but ultimately we're adding a position because of DeVere's reclassification. So it's would be basically maintaining the public works tech, and then reclassifying Kyle to be that public works technician from wastewater operator.
And we've already backfilled that wastewater position, or are we going to backfill that wastewater position?
We are advertising for it.
We closed applications at the end of February. We only got middle of February, we had 2 applications. So we re-advertised, we're closing in the middle of March.
Okay. Just say, I thought we had tried to do something previously, so I didn't know if it was filled or not. I would approve.
So I guess it would be, the motion would be to maintain the public works position and approve the transfer of Kyle Campy to public works technician. We'd go retroactively February 22nd, and then for an annual wage of $45,000 a year, or hourly rate equivalent to $45,000 a year.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Don and a second from Rodney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Jody? Yes. Harlan?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. D then approves the creation of a position of EMS Operations Manager.
So in talking with Phil and the staff out there, and kind of as we've built this system, it's become really apparent that we need another person that's not Phil at the county and not me as city administrator, that can kind of be that, help coordinate the day-to-day activities, and maybe be that first person if there's a question on just kind of day-to-day operations type things. And so we put together this job description, which would be an operations manager. It would not be a new full-time position, so it would be an internal hire, and basically they would still perform all their duties as an EMT or paramedic, still work the same shifts. It's just when they're doing those shifts, and when they have kind of their time that is maybe a little bit slow, or they're not have much going on, they would be doing these other duties, and it's more or less coordinating and making sure the other duties assigned to staff are being completed. So you kind of have a divide and conquer out there amongst the staff in terms of, one or two of them in charge of kind of maintaining inventory and ordering supplies, one or two of them in charge of the billing and making sure, the invoices are going out and getting paid, maintenance of the vehicles and equipment. So kind of just, they wouldn't be doing those tasks, but of the duties assigned to the team out there, kind of being that on-point contact to make sure that they are being done in a timely manner. And like I said, kind of being that other resource that can be reached out to, if Phil and I aren't available, or if it's just, kind of a more of a minor item. Right now, what we've discussed is just hiring one of those, and it would be a stipend position. So they would still make their hourly rate, but this wouldn't be factored into their overtime. It would just be, these additional duties, and it's X. We're looking at that being a, just a per pay period stipend. We're still kind of going back and forth on what we feel is an appropriate amount for the responsibilities. The other options that we've looked at is, with the way we do our scheduling, 3 on, 3 off, that operations manager is only available so much. They would be expected within reason, because they're getting a stipend, to, if they get a call or a text or something on their day off, to respond if they're available, but not have to actually be in the office. But we've talked, well, do we want to maybe have 2 of them, or, a manager and an assistant? And it's just kind of, so that way it's split a bit more, and you do actually have someone out there who can be that day-to-day coordinator more than just 1 out of every 3 days. We get 2 out of 3. Our plan would be to post this internally. It would be open to paramedics or EMTs, because it's not a level of care service. It's coordinating day-to-day tasks. And then select who we think the best fit for the position would be. But part of it might just be, once we see the interest in this, once we hear feedback from staff in terms of the duties, and if maybe we have 2 strong candidates that's like, oh, we really think it would work well to have 2 of them do it together, maybe pay a smaller amount of a stipend as opposed to just going with one with a larger stipend. Those, I guess I'd like the flexibility to be able to kind of make that decision based on what we get for applicants and more in the feedback we get from them. So that's why it has as managers, but I guess it would be more or less the intent of just doing one, or, you know, maybe one and an assistant, or we just start with one and then after a couple of months, see how it goes. If it's going great, we keep it, you know, or if we need to add an assistant or a co-operations manager, do it at that time. That's kind of what we've been put together. I guess, are there any comments or questions on that?
So is this included in the EMS budget?
It is not, in terms of what we showed for personnel expenses. The number that we've kind of batted around maybe as the bi-weekly, basically every pay period stipend would maybe be that $150 to $200. So, you know, over the course of the year, that could either be $3,900 or $5,200. You know, so relative to the total EMS budget, it's pretty minor, but it is, you know, it is, you know, yeah, another expense.
What are we missing organizationally that this got brought about? That, I mean, do we just have staff not knowing? I mean, some staff going to Phil, some staff coming to you, or where in this chain did we? I'm just trying to think where. I mean, to me, that was Phil's job, was to be the oversight of the countywide EMS system, and that is the countywide EMS system. So I get it. I get the position. There's somebody there all the time. Phil's not there all the time. Just trying to see if there was instances that got brought up that you realized this was a glaring headache, or.
You know, obviously when Gary, you know, he was the director, you know,
Yeah.
we were operating completely different. There's just a lot of those just small day-to-day tasks, and like the income offset and the GEMT, and just that at Phil's level, since he's not out there and there every day,
Yeah.
he can't necessarily see if that's getting done and getting done efficiently. And then, you know, and me being in City Hall, you know, it's even more so.
Exactly.
So yeah, you know, this wouldn't be a supervisory role or anything. It would kind of just be that instead of us going and visiting at the office as much as we can, we would actually have someone who's in that facility on a regular basis, and, you know, is doing, you know, is seeing these things firsthand and can make sure that they're actually happening, as opposed to sometimes it's, you know, maybe there's been a lag time and something's built up, and then that's when you know, Phil and I discover it, because it's, you know, when you got a team of 9 and they're more or less all equals, and they work well as a team, and that's our mentality. But, you know, sometimes it's, you know, you need to do this. Well, you know, who are you to tell me I need to do that? You know, kind of just having that point person.
Yeah. And I like the idea of sharing it. Like you said, it's nice to be able to, I mean, almost like lieutenant or somebody. I mean, look at it that way, where it's somebody that's going to be there. You almost need somebody there at all times that, hey, here's your point person. Here's the person that everything goes through that day or that shift or whatever. Where if you do it, if it's just one person, it's going to be kind of get that work-life balance issue that we've had with EMS before, where, oh crap, I got to go take care of this now on my day off. And
Yeah.
so I like that idea that's thought of, and hopefully we get people that are interested, and we have strong candidates that want that, so we can share it. So
I think, yeah, a lot is just kind of delineating or putting in not like a hierarchy, but kind of that chain of command of, you know, who can, you know.
exactly.
So it would be mainly out here at our location, or kind of dealing with both?
It would do Swiss City too.
We do both.
That's the city of Algona.
So yeah, I
So
mean,
we do both, that's what I'm just confirming in my head.
yeah, so it's like when we do any like supply ordering, Sway City does a lot of that. They're on their own, but if we do order something from them, we end up billing them for it. I think the big thing would be is the scheduling, and just making sure that schedule's full. If someone needs a vacation day or they want to switch, that we'd probably just have one person, and that would obviously include the rotation up to Sway. but, I mean, that's a lot of it, because that's just something you need to constantly be monitoring if
Yeah.
someone all of a sudden has to take off, or sometimes people want to pick up a shift, and you can let them know, oh, yeah, well, you know, we got this shift potentially available. So I guess, yeah, the motion that I would recommend or suggest would be approve hiring up to 2 operation managers, and that co-manager's assistant, you know, be left to administrative discretion, and then the ultimately what that stipend would be. It would be a stipend, but that kind of be left to negotiate based on how we actually end up putting those pieces together with what interest we get from the candidates.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Harley, a second from Jody. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carried. And then letter E has to do with marketing communications position to be shared with the Chamber of Commerce.
So we gotta put this in kind of a formal job description format, but between the city and the chamber, this is the list that we have, I don't know if you can read that, come up with in terms of what we'd be looking at for that joint position. We're going to have another meeting this week with them. The current conversations that we've had is it would be a city employee. We're kind of going down that path, but I think the chamber maybe wants to revisit that or just kind of discuss it a bit more, mainly because in terms of benefits, I mean, it's going to be more expensive if it's a city employee. And what they were kind of thinking in terms of an hourly rate is lower than what we were thinking. So I think there's still some room on if it's a chamber and we contract, or it's you know, vice versa. But you know, from the city, it would be really the communications management, so managing our website, making sure that's organized, up to date, easy to understand, managing our Facebook, as well as, you know, Parks and Rec. They also have Twitter. City, you know, do we want to look at Twitter, Snapchat? I mean, but those are things, you need someone actually who's good at those and is monitoring them, to be managing all our social media and our websites, updating our building list inventory through the lowest system, doing our marketing and coordination on print, so our city newsletter, getting back to, we had briefly started there doing a monthly article for the newspaper, which was kind of put on pause, getting that back together and having them writing those or coordinating and making sure they're getting done. And then, you know, doing just kind of general marketing outwardly of the city and community, working on our branding, really marketing our industrial park, putting those materials together. You know, and then other, you know, grant writing and other, you know, kind of special projects as assigned. Thinking we'd do a 20 or a 20 hour split with the chamber, recognizing more or less that this week they might be 25 and 15, but you know, next week it's going to go the other way. And I think, you know, it'd have to be something we need to, you know, evaluate after probably 6 months and then a year of just what the actual split is, how are they doing handling this, as well as I think it will, a shared position, you've got a lot of moving parts, so you want to make sure you get the right fit and they understand the responsibilities and that they can get those done. You know, even that if they're in the city, they might still be doing chamber work and vice versa. And kind of for those key skills that we'd be looking for is kind of communications, marketing, and then, you know, graphic design, or, you know, or any type of, you know, kind of art background that can really make us stand out. And then, you know, kind of with the chamber, doing their online communication, social media, you know, they do their weekly newsletter, and then, you know, marketing their events. And then for, I think, both the chamber and the city, you know, taking pictures at, whether it's our rec programs or a city chamber sponsored event, getting videos, editing those, putting those out on social media or on our website, or coordinating if we're going to hire a contractor to maybe do some more professional level stuff. Kind of be that person that can dedicate the time and be the resident expert on those things.
And just looking at those requirements, it looks like there really are some real efficiencies to be had by having it split between the two jobs. It looks like there's some real overlap that would work well.
Right now, what we have in the budget for next year, in the economic development budget, is a full-time employee at $45,000 a year. Excuse me. So I guess, moving forward with the chamber, in terms of formally authorizing this position, so we can finalize the job description, get it advertised, and we can bring it back for final approval on the 15th. Before we move forward, and then, we'd be probably looking at, no more than 50% of what we have budgeted for personnel and economic development, in terms of what our commitment would be, and all the benefits and everything added up with what we have in there. I think 58% ends up being right around $38,000 a year, which I think the chamber, once they kind of saw that breakdown, they maybe wanted to revisit that. So I think this one we maybe don't need to approve right now. We can maybe come back on the 15th and do that formal approval, because I don't yet know for sure if it'll be a city or a chamber employee. And
Just
then,
need more details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, we kind of want to move forward with this at least, but where that lies.
Yep.
And I think the other thing, we just, whoever the actual employer is, then it's understood that, they're the one with input from the other, but they're doing the evaluation. If there's an employment issue, the ones that's in charge ultimately, and it's not a, well, we're letting 50% of this person go. It's kind of you kind of need one owner of it and the other one being a partner that's contributing.
Okay. And then letter F. That one we had.
We already did that.
We already
Yeah,
did that.
I was gonna say yeah, what I thought too. Okay. So anything else, Jacob, with item number 29? Did we pretty much handle everything there that you were thinking? And
I think I've got what I need, unless anyone has any other questions.
okay. We'll move into item number 30, and that's a discussion on the proposed budget.
I've got nothing to present. I feel like I've repeated myself probably enough over a series of meetings that were well vetted, but I had this on as an item in case there was anything that wanted to be discussed at this meeting on it, but otherwise I've got nothing.
Anybody else have anything, or
No.
are we good?
Comfortable positions, everything.
All right. Well, I just again want to just thank certainly Jacob and Deb and Barb too with all your work these last 3 months, and the council as well. We've met many, many times, and these last 3 months for sure have been very, very busy with budget time. So it is 6:22, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.